Good Sunday evening, boxing fans. Welcome to Enter the Ring Live with Mighty Mike.
AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red.
Eric the Red. It is Sunday, January the 10th, 2021. We are at the end of what's probably been the most, I don't know, historic week in the history of my life. What are you guys? What say you? Without getting into too much detail, how do you guys feel on a Sunday after this long and, oh my God, and just exhausting week of
Well,
everything?
I look at it this way. It's 2021, right? If you spell it out, it's 2020 WON 2021. I mean, we're in a bad way.
I'll tell you, all it's done is reconfirm the fact that I love to punch people. So boxing's right where I need to be, dude. You know,
I know. I mean, I see people, and I hear from people, and I read people who say things like, well, just carry on about your business and don't let this affect you or this affect you. And of course, those are 99.9%. Those statements come from people who are the protected class, people that haven't been affected by lockdowns, shutdowns, mandates, closures. Like I said, it's none, and people that I consider friends and more than friends, acquaintances, that they say that, but when it comes to your doorstep, then I want to see if you take that same stance. Just carry on about your day. Nothing's going to affect you. No, that's the mindset of a fool. That's the mindset of a pot of a frog in a warm pot as he's slowly cooked to death.
No, you're absolutely right, bro. I think the thing that's really, really starting to get under my skin is the fact that I'm starting to see a lot of people who, let's be honest, probably never thrown a punch in anger in their life. They probably taken a few.
Taken a few, yeah.
They post these threats with such anger, like they're actually going to do something to people who don't have their opinions and don't see the world through their eyes. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm just speaking as myself, as an individual, not for Into the Ring Live, not for my brothers, but that's right now. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's nobody who's going to tell me in this world what I can do and when I have to do it. I follow the rules, but if you're going to try to create your own rules and get me to try to follow them, well, guess what? You just walk into a freaking nuclear bomb.
Yeah, you can't keep moving the goalpost.
Yeah,
we've done what is expected of us, I think, for the most part. I was talking to, actually, I sent a message to a friend of mine this earlier today from Australia, and he asked me how things are here. And I told him, I said, well, there's basically still on a semi-lockdown here in California, depending on what county you live in. You could be nut to butt with, with every Tom, Dick, and Harry that you've never met before inside of a Walmart. I'll give you like here's a quick example. As it's not a mystery, we like the horse races as well, right? So I'm watching Santa Anita today, right, on TVG. Beautiful out there. Absolutely beautiful out there. It's probably 75 degrees in Arcadia right now. Not a cloud in the sky, no wind, and and the Santa Anita is completely empty. They're running, but it's completely empty. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't you go sit in the infield? It's open air. You're not confined. You're in an open air environment, right, in the infield, right? And use the pari-mutuel machines, or even bet on your phone. Why can't you do that? It's no different than being in a Walmart where like I said, where you're within spitting distance of somebody and you're using the self-serve checkout, because there's very few tellers even left in the local Walmart or Target anymore. Everything is self-serve. So you go to a self-serve thing, you put your debit card in, you punch in your PIN number, blah, 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 you bag your own shit and you leave. What's the difference?
I know.
People are smart enough to say, you know what, I just touched something that's a common area. I'm going to go ahead and sanitize my hands. I'm not going to touch my eyes and my nose and my face. I'm not going to, stick my finger in my ear. But you can't go sit at Santa Anita and enjoy a freaking Miller Lite and a hot dog and throw a couple bucks on the ponies.
Because it's not what they want, bro.
I
really believe
it's all about control, guys.
I said,
it's all about control. The whole damn thing is about control.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, bro. In my 30 plus years in medical, it doesn't make sense because everything that they're saying is wrong. What's going on with these vaccines is wrong. The fact that they're administering vaccine in the first place that haven't gone through the trials, that even though, let me tell you now, just because it says FDA approved, you can go to the CDC or the FDA website and look at the amount of lawsuits that have been attributed to them based on the fact that they've approved something and it's hurt somebody.
Bro, all you have to do is watch TV. I'm kind of an insomniac. Okay. You guys probably know this about me. I don't sleep too well. Sometimes I'm up at midnight and I'm up till 3 a.m. And all you got to do is turn the TV on any channel. And all you're seeing is these commercials from these big law firms. If you've taken this drug, and these are all drugs that were standardized drugs that have been used for decades, you could be at risk and be, you could be part of a potential settlement because this is known to cause this, and this. And these are all vaccines and medications that went through years of medical trial. You know what I mean? And it's still happening. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's so different than, with so-called Dr. Fauci going out there. And every time you see this guy, it's like
he's changing
the first thing out of his mouth is the worst is yet to come. The worst is yet to come. I'm like, dude, crawl back in your fucking hole, dude. I'm done with you, bro.
Yeah. Learn how to throw a baseball, you jackhole. Anyways, man. All right. So there's our 5 minutes of political rant for the start of this episode.
Let me just say one more thing. We're gonna make it a 6-minute rant. Okay. So, here they are. The government and everybody love Donald Trump, but you know what? The entire government is trying to get us to take a vaccine that they've done in under a year. So let me see here. They've been working on cancer for 80 years, can't find anything. The common cold, 100+ years more, they can't find a vaccine.
The flu.
What happened to the flu?
But
yeah, what happened to the flu?
We're supposed to trust that in under a year, they got a vaccine that is 90 some odd percent good or
effective. Yeah.
When the best vaccine in the world is like 60% valid, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah. Now, granted, I think it's safe to say we all would hope that it works. I mean, we don't want people to get sick, especially the elderly and the people that are at risk. Like I said, the people that are working in grocery stores, truck drivers, people that are constantly in contact with people. I'm in the real estate industry and I'm constantly in contact with people. I must have talked to 15, 20 people yesterday, strangers I've never met before, but you keep your distance. You don't shake hands, you talk to people face to face as close as possible, But
I still shake hands. I still give hugs.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, man. I have a different opinion when it comes to the elderly, man. They're putting this thing out there right now, the fact that hospitals will turn you away because their ICUs are so overwhelmed. If something happened to my wife or my children and they needed to see an emergency doctor, I will grab an old person out of their bed and throw them out on the street because a young person, they've already lived there. At 90, when you see these 93-year-old people and they're still trying to hold on, it's greed, bro. I've known people in my past where women and men have given up their entire lives in order to take care of their parent that just won't let go. I'm telling you, I have given when I get to that stage, man, hit me in the fucking head with the shovel. I'm done. That's it, man. I know AJ gets a little raw, man, but that's what it is.
I got a better idea.
I agree, man.
I got a better idea. So when I get to that age, just put me in my wheelchair, load me up with a bunch of TNT, push me towards the White House, and I'll light that sucker up.
That's a little extreme. I think you just got us kicked off of YouTube now. God damn it.
Eric was just kidding. That was just a joke, by the way. He was just kidding. Just kidding.
I mean, it was kind of a joke.
Yeah. All right. So let's go, Mike.
Kidding.
So let's get things rolling, brother.
Well, the topic for today's show is boxing in 2021 and what boxing needs to save itself. Boxing, what needs to change in boxing, okay? And there's quite a few things that we discussed prior to coming on live with you guys. The first thing we'll talk about is, I think that's something that's pretty much on everybody's mind, unless you're part of an organization who charges this exorbitant sanctioning fee and about $40,000 for a belt that costs about $400, is there are just too many belts. There are too many belts in boxing right now. 20 years ago, there were 3 recognized organizations, the WBC, WBA, and IBF. The WBO was kind of a fringe contender, right? They were kind of a fringe belt. They were like the IBO, kind of, establishing themselves in different divisions and whatnot. But now you've legitimately got 4 belts that are recognized world championship belts. So the one that comes to mind right away is the situation with the WBC. Just this past week on Boxing Scene, Mauricio Suleiman went on, of course, on Damage Control, and said he basically gave a justification as to why there are 3 separate champions at 135 pounds. One of them being, as far as I'm concerned, really the only, even though I don't believe he won the fight, but the belt that mattered, the WBC belt, was the one that Teofimo won from Vasyl Lomachenko. You have Devin Haney, who's also held that belt for the better part of a year, I believe, right? Apparently he had fought an eliminator, and then I don't know, and then he was deemed champion, and they call it the email championship belt because he was sent a notification by email that you are now considered the regular champion or whatever. Then the fight that happened a week ago?
A week ago.
It was a week ago. It was 8 days ago, where Ryan Garcia fought Luke Campbell, and that fight was for the WBC interim 135-pound champion. So you have 3 champions at 135, and there's justification from the president of the WBC as to how that's even possible. How is that even possible?
I know. It's disgusting. It really is. I mean, when you have that many titles, it kind of, to me, it takes the shine off of the titles that really should be recognized. Because at that point, when you have so many champions, you got guys that put themselves in a situation where they really beat a nobody for that title, or it was just handed to them based on a sanction and who their name is, if they have any kind of social standing. And then they can keep that title hostage and never touch the true champions, the guys who are really sitting on top, and come back and go, well, I'm a champion too. And then they bid themselves out because, they feel
because they say they use it as a bargaining chip. They use Correct. It as clout. Hey, I have a belt. What do you guys think about this? Okay, Ryan Garcia stopped Luke Campbell this past week, right? Nothing against Luke Campbell. I mean, like we all said, he's a tough guy, whatever. I mean, and I respect any man that's willing to step into the ring and put his life on the line in a boxing match. But
I said it.
How was Luke Campbell worthy of a shot at even an interim title?
It wasn't.
What was the last significant win he had in his career?
Nothing. Probably the rematch with
Mendy
when he won it.
And that was probably 2 years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago. Yeah. I mean, the thing was, like I said going up into that fight, I didn't think this was that big of a step for Ryan Garcia. I think, to me, honestly, Luke Campbell, to me, really disappointed me. He didn't just show me that he's not as skilled for a guy who has a gold medal. It just kind of takes a little bit of the luster off of those gold medals and shows that just because the guy's got a gold medal doesn't mean that he's fundamentally the best fighter in the ring.
That's for sure.
So, I mean, the thing is with Ryan Garcia getting this victory, but it's the way that Luke Campbell went out. It just really showed his lack of dedication, his lack of heart, just a lack for no respect for his countrymen, but a lack of respect for boxing. He didn't really give it his all. He had many opportunities in which, I mean, he dropped Garcia, and I'll let you touch on it too, bro, but he drops Garcia in the second round.
And then comes out tentative and lets.
So is that somebody who really wants to, we said it before, bro, is Luke Campbell coming to win this fight, or is he just going to show up?
The last person I saw I'm not going to say drop, the last person I saw get stunned badly and come back immediately.
John Porter.
No, Floyd Mayweather against Sugar Shane Mosley.
Yeah.
He gets hurt. I think it was the second or third round with this is the most hurt Floyd's ever been. But you're talking about Floyd Mayweather here. We're not talking about Ryan Garcia. So how does Luke Campbell allow himself to land that punch, hurt Ryan Garcia, and not try to go back to that same punch at any point during the fight? It's like I said, I think the most stunned guy in the arena that night was Luke Campbell. I think when he landed that shot, he said, "Oh shit!"
I think Eric made a comment on that was almost kind of like, "Oh shit, I wasn't supposed to throw that punch."
Yeah. So getting back to the Lopez fight, okay, the Lopez being the champion, okay, this too goes into what's wrong with boxing and how these guys are using these belts as clout and leverage because they want to just, they get to this lofty position and they just want to stay there. They want to be nice and comfortable. It's like they've got the girl, they've got the home, they've got the cars, and they just want to sit there and just put a wall around themselves and nobody come and touch me. I'm just going to stay here. It's like, no, you have to still continue to generate, if you're in business, you have to generate revenue to maintain that lifestyle. These fighters don't want to do it. Case in point, Eric, you went back and you watched the Lee Selby Kambosos fight that took place a few weeks ago, okay? And me and AJ said that. We said that from the moment that decision was rendered. The reason why they gave that fight to Kambosos. Eric, tell us what you saw when you watched that fight.
I saw maybe 2 rounds that went to Kambosos. That's it. I mean,
and they were close rounds.
Huh?
And they were close rounds.
Yeah, they were very close rounds, but he did not win that fight in any way, shape, or form. And then one of the judges had it 118 to 110.
Yeah.
What the? What were they watching?
Yeah, that was a
porn. They're watching porn.
But the reason they did that is because they wanted that Kambosos to go up against Teofimo. It had absolutely nothing to do with
Lee Selby.
Lee Selby had nothing to do with him. He won the damn fight, but they're just trying to make this match in heaven so that they can get this other guy. It's
the business and the politics of boxing. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Tim Tszyu a few weeks ago, right, fought in front of like 30,000 people, right? The Australia is wide open, although they are on a bit of a lockdown again right now, right? But they'll overcome a quick 3 to 7 day lockdown and then be right back to having full crowds, because this is their summer, and there's no way you're going to keep these people bottled up, a bunch of crazy Aussies bottled up all summer. Either way,
let's go. Let's head down there. We got to
go. Right. So we said it after that fight. We said, okay, well, now we know what's going to happen. They're going to have it lined up perfectly for Bob Arum. He's going to have the Maloney Franco rematch in Australia, right? As the co-main. The main event will be Teofimo versus Kambosos, right? I mean, there's no way he was going to have Teofimo fight Selby in Australia, where he can generate revenue from ticket sales, plus the pay-per-view and the overseas money in Eurasia. I'm sorry, what do they call it?
Eurasia?
I think, yeah.
Orient.
No. Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania. They're pretty big fight fans. I mean, it was like a business plan was put in place, and it was handed to the judges and referees and go, this is what needs to happen, because in the spring of 2021, when we're still in this lockdown shit here in America, we're going to just fly everybody down south for a nice 2-week vacation down under for this fight. And it's going to generate great revenue. It'll probably be on ESPN Plus. It won't be on free ESPN. It'll be on ESPN Plus. So you got to pay for the subscription, which is not much, but still, if enough people add that the subscription to it, I mean, they're going to get paid. I mean, everybody's going to get paid involved. It's not going to be another losing proposition for Top Rank, a la Terrence Crawford fights.
I think one of the things is that Teofimo himself has been making some very brash statements lately. One of the things that really, really kind of stuck out was the fact that he kind of made it perfectly clear that in order for him to step in the ring, he's demanding $10 million.
I don't know what the dollar amount was. Is that what you saw? 10 million?
$10 million.
He wants a lot of money. He basically said, oh, they're going to have to pay the king or something. It's like, I never saw Vasyl Lomachenko take that stance. He never discussed money.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there's no reality in Teofimo Lopez getting $10 million. Terrence Crawford, who's the only gem that I feel in Top Rank that they have now. Yeah, in their stable, isn't going to get $10 million. Teofimo, I think, is doing this to basically price himself out. For some reason or another, Teofimo, maybe they see something in Kambosos. Like I said, I think Kambosos is horrible, absolutely horrible. But the point is, he's kind of a rough and tumble kind of guy, unorthodox. Who knows? I mean, the bottom line is Teofimo Lopez doesn't seem real interested to fight him or anybody else. It seems like he's going to go from sanctioned body to sanctioned body, and put all of this stuff here, and they're going to all end up in court. And who knows where his career goes at that point? But he doesn't have a lot of options.
I've got the perfect example. Okay, so I'm 250 pounds. Okay, Tyson Fury, if you're listening, I will take a fight with you. However, you need to pay me $12 million.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'll let you get me in the ring. How about that?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
what the hell? Come on, Tyson Fury. Where are you?
Did Teofimo Lopez not listen to what Bob Arum told Bud Crawford? He told Rob Crawford, I'm not making any money on you. I think where Teofimo is, his head's a little full right now because of basically the numbers. What he doesn't understand is he's not the only one who generated those numbers. Vasyl Lomachenko, a guy who's proven in the ring, obviously brought a lot of fans and a lot of viewership.
Well, all you have to do is look at Teofimo's previous fights on ESPN. They didn't generate anything respectable.
Was dead water.
They were just average, respectable numbers. They weren't anything astronomical. But once again, it's the media, and all these nut huggers around YouTube and these boxing community that are stroking this guy's ego and trying to make him go, oh, you're the best thing since sliced bread. You're the new this, you're the new that. Well, the guy still hasn't cracked the top 10 pound for pound.
I know.
Right? And he beat it. And he on paper beat a guy that was the perennial #1 fighter in the world for the better part of the last 2 to 3 years. So what does that tell you? People still aren't sold on this kid. They're not. No. I'm not.
No, they're not. You're absolutely right, bro. And the thing is like I said, with a guy like Teofimo, the bigger issue that he's going to have is if they do make this Kambosos fight happen and he ends up defending his title and beating Kambosos, which he should do.
Yeah.
Then you got to look at the point. He's going to have to fight a mandatory, or he's going to have to fight something out there that's going to actually generate some money, because Bob Arum's going to put that kind of pressure on him. Whether or not Teofimo saves the top rank at that point, who knows?
Well, the WBC, as much as they're a corrupt organization, they will strip him. They will strip him because if he's not fighting, look at, okay, in boxing, you got the guys that are ranked number 1, number 2, number 3, and they're paying their sanctioning fees, even a smaller percentage of them, even though they're not technically fighting for the belt, they're paying for their ratings. Suleiman will not sit around and let these guys continue to just go, hey, I'm not getting anything for my money. I'm not gonna even fight for your belt anymore. So the pressure will come down on Lopez. Here's what Suleiman should do. Suleiman should say, okay, look, I have 3 champions, right? All right, I have a number of matches in my hand. Which one of you, whoever guesses the amount of matches or coins I have in my hand, you're exempt from the first fight. Okay, you go first. Tiffum, you're the champion. Okay, fine, whatever. Whoever gets closest, all right, you just got to buy. Like in football, you just got to buy. Okay, guess what? If it's Tiffum, okay, guess what? Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, you guys are mandated to fight next. No interim fights. You fight next. You don't fight next, I take away your little paper championship. And then you no longer have that bargaining chip in your pocket anymore. If it ends up being Ryan Garcia draws the right number, the right amount of matches in his hands, then guess what? Ryan Garcia gets to sit back and watch Teofimo and Haney fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
3 champions. Hey, you have to sort the shit out.
Yeah,
people are sick and tired of it.
Yeah, the fact that they have so many different belts now, it's laughable. As a boxing fan, it's laughable. Oh, so and so's the champion. Wait, and then you got your buddy saying, no, so and so's the champion. No, so and so's the champion. I mean, this is ridiculous. Back in the day, I mean, you had the 3. What was it? The WBC, WBA, and IBF.
IBF, yeah.
And IBF. Stick to 3. You know what? I mean, stick to 3. And then if you want to get a unified title, right now, if somebody actually wanted to unify all the titles, they'd have to fight 10 fights. It's crazy.
I think that's the thing that kind of gets me about Teofimo, is that people forget that he kind of scored that Willy Wonka golden ticket when he beat Lomachenko, because he was able to acquire all the belts, where Lomachenko actually went out and did the work. He did the road work in order to obtain these titles. They were just given to him. Each and every title was taken from a champion. Teofimo wins his controversial decision over Lomachenko, acquires these titles, and now he thinks he's on top of the world. He just graced the front of Ring Book magazine, which just inflated his ego even bigger. The point is guys like Teofimo Lopez, what makes him so bad for boxing is that he's not going to give us the matchups a la Bud Crawford. He's not going to face the other champions. He's going to find every loophole out there in order to just keep and direct a very safe career path.
Isn't it a bit of a coincidence too that the 2 guys in the world with the biggest egos on boxing are both fighting for Top Rank and Bob Arum? And this is not a knock on Top Rank, because I like Bob Arum and I think he's put some great fights on over the years. But in the last year or 2, I thought he was really going to go the other way and really start giving us the matchups we need. But he has proven that in his 80s, he's as crotchety and as one-sided and pig-headed as ever before, because he's not willing to negotiate these fights and tell his fighters, guess what? Bud Crawford or Teofimo, you know what? I don't give a shit what your Instagram followers tell you, or what Tim Bradley. You're not all that you think you are, because if you were, I'd be making money off you, because there's nobody in boxing that knows how to make money like Bob Arum. I mean, he's made money over the years. I mean, you can go back to the 1970s when he promoted Ali versus Frazier or Ali versus Foreman. I mean, this is a guy that knows how to make money. And if he's telling you, I'm not making any money on you, then force their hand, Bob. Force their hand.
You're right, bro. He's got to do something, because right now, let's be honest, you'll never see Top Rank involved in like a Super 6. They're never going to do that.
Because then they have to split the money with people.
Exactly. So it's always about them. And I think that's one of the bigger issues too, when we're talking about what's wrong with boxing, is the fact that we got to find a way to get these banners to start cooperating with each other. Obviously, there's a huge issue between Top Rank and the PBC. For me, myself personally, I like the PBC. You know, I think they've done a great job. I think Al Heyman's done a great job.
The PBC's put better fights on in the last 2-3 years.
I think
by far.
Better. And their fighters have fought top people. When was the last time a top-ranked fighter, other than Teofimo Lopez, fighting against Vasily Lomachenko? There hasn't been anybody out there fighting anybody. Bud Crawford doesn't have anybody on his radar.
Or his resume in recent years. Yeah.
No.
Isn't it true that Lomachenko's not going to get a second fight?
Yeah, Lopez has made it perfectly clear that he has
he has no interest. He has no interest in fighting Lomachenko for the second time. And I tell you right now that Lomachenko's felt his lack of vaunted power, I think if that fight does happen again, I think Lomachenko goes right after him from round 1 on. I really do. But like I said, this kid knows it. His dad knows it. Everybody around him knows it, and they don't want that fight.
They don't want that fight.
And I actually saw an interview with Lomachenko this week, and he actually said, well, who was the one, if this guy's so strong and so powerful, who was the one holding? Lomachenko at no point anywhere in that fight did he have to resort to holding. Dude, Teofimo multiple times got hit and had to hold because he was on the verge of either getting stopped or he was exhausted. He could have got dropped, even if it wasn't a knockdown punch, just out of sheer exhaustion. That's why the kid doesn't want to make the fight anymore. That's why he'll take
anybody who's listening, people would pay for another pay-per-view with that fight.
And that fight wasn't even on pay-per-view, bro.
But I'm just saying, if it went to pay-per-view, people would pay to see that fight.
I'd pay as long as the undercard was decent. I'd pay for that fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right now, you got to strike right now when the iron's hot. What are they going to do? They're going to let Teofimo go off and beat this Kambosos kid? Because he's going to beat Kambosos. Kambosos has no business in the ring. I'm not saying Teofimo was all that great, but Kambosos clearly lost to Lee Selby. Nothing against Lee Selby, but in my opinion, his better days are behind him. He peaked a couple years ago, but he still was able to get himself in physical condition to just fight. Actually, I thought it was a brilliant fight. Yeah. It was a fight he did not get the credit for. It reminded me a lot of it was before the Gabriel Rosado fight, but a lot of guys were expecting this blood and guts war. Lee Selby just outboxed the shit out of Kambosos, just like Gabe Rosado outboxed Danny Jacobs.
And I quite honestly, I think with Lee Selby, just the fact that he had to make the weight again too. I mean, that was probably hard on him. I think he is more naturally a little bit heavier than the 130, the 135.
Maybe 140. I don't know.
I'm just personally, I think that he would be more comfortable at a little bit higher weight. And he's got this boxing skills to be able to he doesn't necessarily have the power. I don't believe, but he has the boxing skills to do another 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean?
We're talking Lee Selby?
Lee Selby, yeah.
I don't know, man. I think Lee Selby's seen his better days. I was honestly really surprised that they actually put him in that matchup against Kambosos. I think Kambosos was just,
I saw an interview with him, and he said that it's still very hard for him, even though he had, I guess, a 9-pound increase from what he used to fight.
Because he used to fight at 126, I think, right?
Yeah, it was hard for him to make that weight. I mean, and that kind of drains you. You guys know this. I mean, Munguia had a hard time making weight at certain things, and it makes you a little bit less than what you could be. But at his natural weight, he actually might be better than what we think. I mean, granted, he's not in his prime anymore, but I think he can, do another 3, 4, 5 years.
Well, here's the thing. If he would have went out there and just got blown away or beaten up by Kambosos, I'd have said, hey, Lee, call it a day. But he won the fight.
He won the fight.
He should be fighting for the fucking titles right now. Excuse my language. He should be fighting. If anybody, if that was an eliminator for the undisputed 135-pound championship, it should be Lee Selby.
Yep.
But there's no money in the Lee Selby fight because the Lee Selby's from Wales. They're not going to take the fight to Wales. They're in a lockdown. He doesn't have enough of a backing here in Vegas, which proves to Teofimo, if you were 1/10 of what you thought you were, Bob Arum wouldn't have to make the fight in Australia. He can make it right there in Vegas and sell this fight, but he can't sell this fight and make money on this fight.
Nope.
He just cannot do it because nobody will tune in. He needs the overseas revenue. He needs half of the world that's going to tune in and watch it, right? I mean, we're going to be watching it here probably, I don't know. We're probably going to be watching it here at like, I don't know, fucking midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning because it's going to be, because it's like when we watch the Tim Tszyu fights, it's like 3 or 4 in the morning when the main event happens. I mean, hey, I have no problem waking up at that time. The people on the East Coast, it'll be 6 o'clock in the morning, so they'll be having their Dunkin' Donuts and coffee and watching the fight. Us, we're like, setting our alarms for 2:30 to get up and wash our face and sit here and hopefully and hope that the prelims don't last 10 rounds to get to that fight. That's what it comes down to. If the money was there, the fight would not have to be made in Australia. It's that simple.
The money's not there. It's not going to be there. And like I said, when Teofimo Lopez makes statements like I'm demanding $10 million, that's a point when his management needs to step up and tell him, listen, that's not reality, because all you're going to do is you're going to start a trend. And next thing you know, I'm going to have some You know, a guy like an Edgar Beranga, you know, asking for $5 million, you know, and a couple and his next fight. I mean, it's ridiculous and stuff. I mean, if Teofimo Lopez, I could see later on he can generate that kind of money, but he's got to beat some names. Lomachenko was a good name on his resume.
He's got to win some clear cut
But had
wins.
he won that Lomachenko fight, I mean, I went back and watched it. I don't think he won that fight.
No, at worst, it was a draw. But like I said, a lot of those punches that Teofimo was getting credit for were not landing. They just were not landing.
There's only one. I'll tell you right now. It wasn't that Teofimo did enough to win. It's that
it was what Loma didn't do.
Yeah, I agree.
He had the wrong game plan from the first round, and then he finally woke up around round 4 or 5, too late. I mean, I think it was close. I think round 6. I scored the fight for Lomachenko myself, and I try to do it with non-biased eyes because it's really hard to not.
You got to turn the sound down.
Yeah, it's really hard not to have disdain for Teofimo and everything that he does, and just the type of person that he is. But let's be honest: if Teofimo is successful against Kambosos, and he should be, and he avoids whoever he avoids, and he's already made this perfectly known that he's talking about moving up in weight because he's having problems making the weight. Who does he fight at that point? Let's be honest. There is a slew. That's a water field.
He's gonna realize real fucking quick that, hey, you know what? Maybe I should stay here at 135 because he goes to 140. He's fighting guys like Regis Prograis. He's fighting guys like
Jones Zepeda,
and both those guys knock him the fuck out.
Knock him out cold.
And you heard it here first.
Cold. I say Jones Zepeda. To me, honestly, he's the best 140 pounder right now.
He's the best guy without a belt. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. We'll find out once Ramirez and Josh Taylor do their fight, which Josh Taylor should win that fight unless he goes in there and makes a mistake where he just grapples with this guy. I mean, that's the wrong thing. He needs a box. He's a better boxer than Ramirez.
He is. He's a better boxer.
But honestly, I'll be honest with you. I would love to see Ramirez win. I would love to see a rematch between Ramirez.
But Ramirez ain't going to give Zepeda the rematch.
Well, if Zepeda is the mandatory, he doesn't have a choice. It's either that or vacate it, and the Zepeda could just walk in.
I think he knows, and I think Robert Garcia knows. I don't think he does.
Yeah,
I think Josh Taylor's more likely to give, and maybe Chon goes back across the pond like he did a few years ago when he fought Flanagan, and this time things happen right. With no dislocation of the shoulder and all that stuff, but let's jump to the second thing that we want to talk about as it pertains to what needs to happen in boxing for 2021, and this is obviously something on everybody's mind. It's not just in 2020. This goes back to 2018 when we saw the Canelo Triple G, the first fight. Something needs to be done about the judges and the referees in boxing, whether it's the elevation or the advancement of some of the younger guys that you don't see on the lower cards, right? Some of the guys working their way up, like even a guy like a Raul Cayes Jr., who I think is a pretty good, solid referee, but I've yet to see him in like a real high profile fight. I've seen his father do some high profile fights, but the Jay Nadies of the world, the Lawrence Coles, Russell Mora, some of these guys, Tony Weeks, some of these guys, their time is past, man. Yeah. Their time is past. And guys like what's the guy's name? Jack Reese. He's very close to being on his way out because he's made some stupid bonehead calls recently as well.
Yeah, he has
some head scratchers. I mean, whether it be the judges, Adelaide Bird, Julie Letterman, Glenn Feldman. No. What's his name? Glenn Feldman from Vegas. Feldman, yeah. There's some judges here that need to be held accountable for their scorecards. How do you do it?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's just like anything. You have a review board. And when somebody does something kind of controversial, you make them sit down with the sanctioning bodies, whoever's ahead of it, the supervisors, and watch the fight with them. And then at that point, they score it. And if it's something that's really out of the ordinary, they have to explain it. And if the explanation isn't correct, then why would you see this? Are you really paying attention to the fight? The bottom line is boxing needs an injection of some new blood. Just like any sport. I mean, you can't continue. It's just like, you look at like the Supreme Court or like the Senate or the House.
Even the NFL, which I think is completely fixed, right, has a new crop of white hats. Exactly. Guys that are running the officiating crews. You don't see the Ed Hockley's anymore, and some of these older guys that have been around for just way too long. They've developed way too many buddy relationships, whether it be with a trainer, a cut man, a promoter. a network, whatever. It has to. We need to shake it up.
I think one of the things I should say one thing real quick. Boxing, like anything, boxing is a sport that evolves from year to year. Fighters develop different types of skills. Unfortunately, we still have judges out there that are still judging fights the way they did back in the 70s when fighters fought differently. Fighters fight different today. So I think the scoring method still needs to be the same, but there has to be some, some inclusions and some things that need to be added. Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I've got a great idea. Okay. So you take boxers that have retired. What's wrong with taking a retired boxer, somebody that, kind of was straight-laced, just a good boxer, training them to go ahead and be the judge. Okay, they know what everybody's going through. They know what a good punch is and what a bad punch is.
Well, I think the only problem I would have with that is that if you have a fighter that was overly aggressive and he wasn't really so much of a cute boxer where he used his range, he's going to score most of the fights.
He's going to favor an aggressive kind of guy.
An aggressive fighter, rather a guy that's more defensive minded, like a Floyd Mayweather, but lands more punches. So that's kind of a weird thing, but I can see where you're going with that. I mean, I can see how that can happen. I mean,
even if they aren't professional fighters or former professional fighters, as long as they're proven to be competent, like have them judge a fight that they've never seen before. Break out a fight that happened, 20 years ago that they've obviously never seen, and go, okay, we're going to sit here with you. We're going to watch this fight. You're going to score this fight. Yeah. And then you compare and contrast to what the scoring of the fight was. Now, granted, you're going to want to find a fair fight. You're not going to want to find I don't know. I mean, you're not going to want to find a Marvelous Hagler Sugar Ray Leonard fight to me, which was completely controversial. But I mean, you're going to want to, just a no-name fight. And I don't mean no name, but I mean just a fight of maybe two guys that aren't household names, and go, okay, I want you to score this fight with us. I don't give a shit if it's a 6 rounder.
That's a good fight you brought up right now, Mike, because
good idea.
That has a lot of resemblance to the Lomachenko Lopez fight. Is a Sugar Ray Leonard Hagler fight. I'm gonna tell you why. There were moments in the fight when Sugar Ray Leonard was allowed to do the things that he'd done to so many other fighters, throwing these massive flurries and stuff.
But nothing was really landing clean. It was just, it looked good.
It was just a little pop shot. But the point was, Hagler output was so low, and he just didn't really get in there and do the things that he'd done to so many other fighters with that mangler kind of like, style that he had and stuff. That was his downfall, because it wasn't that Sugar Ray fought such a great fight. Once again, it was Hagler fighting out of his style and just not bringing what he should have brought to the table.
Yeah, that's true.
Very true.
So what do we do? So what do we do with these referees? I mean, I think the referees need to be held accountable just as well, because, I mean,
I got a great idea. How about allowing some of these referees that are great referees from other countries to come in and not always use a U.S. based referee? There's some great referees that are in the Philippines, Japan, Australia, amongst other places.
Not so much the UK though. I'll be honest with you. The UK refs to me, the UK refs to me are
horrible.
The top of the, I guess, the upper echelon of the referees in the UK always seem to be older gentlemen who just are a little bit slow on the trigger to get to the action, to whether it be a break or they just don't see what's really going on in the fight. They misinterpret whether it be a low blow or a dirty punch or something.
Well, it's not only that.
Hey, hold on a second. Are you making fun of the old people? Because you know what, I'm getting there.
So, no, you're not. I'm talking to some of these referees are like 70 years old, man, 65, 70 years old.
We already had a discussion about old stuff and stuff. Mike knows what's going to happen when I get old. But no, I agree with you, bro. But the problem I have with the UK referees is the fact that, like their judges and like their announcers, all you gotta do is watch Sky Sport. It'll drive you nuts, especially with UK fighters there. It's one-sided. They don't see the other side.
Yeah. Although I will say this, when I watched that Kambosos Lee Selby fight, I believe that fight was on ESPN Plus, but I actually watched it on the Sky Sports broadcast and listened to I forgot the guy's name, but it was the UK broadcast. And although Lee Selby was a UK fighter, they called that fight fair, and they had that a respectable card. I think all of them scored it the same way, like a 10-2, 9-3 kind of fight. And they were completely flabbergasted when the fight was announced. And that was a situation where they weren't just the home team going for the hometown guy. And I read so many comments of of fans that were giving those guys so much shit, saying, "Oh, don't listen to the broadcast on Sky. They were one-sided." I'm like, I had no vested interest in the game. In fact, if I had a choice right now to go to the UK or go to Australia, I'm going to go to Australia. But I firmly believe Lee Selby, who was from the UK, won that fight, and he won it hands down.
Yeah. I agree. I watched it on Sky or the Sky Sports.
The Sky broadcast, yeah.
Yeah, the Sky broadcast. I watched it too, and
Kambosos didn't do anything. I don't think he won around to the seventh round.
% of the time.
The seventh round, I think he won that seventh round, but by the slimmest of margins. But it took him about 7 rounds to get started.
Maybe the 7th round, or I mean the 11th round too. Maybe the 2 rounds. I mean but that was it.
That was it. Yeah, I had it 10-2. I had 118, 110 the other way. And when I saw 118, 110, I said, "Oh, they got it right." And then they go for Kambosos. I was like, "What the?"
You could actually go back to Kambosos' fight back in December against Mickey Bay, and even though Bay is a shell of what he used to be, it was a very close fight, and it ended up being a split decision victory for Kambosos. But the point was,
where was the fight at? Was it Australia?
No, the fight was actually in New York at Madison Square Gardens.
I didn't even know he fought Mickey Bay.
Yeah, he fought Mickey Bay back in December. But the point was that, you know, Mickey Bay was just a shell of what he used to be. But I honestly still scored the fight for Mickey Bay. So right now, going into this Teofimo Lopez fight, Kambosos is coming off of what it could have been, in reality, 2 losses instead of 2 controversial victories.
Yep.
You know.
And is getting a shot at the. Could you imagine if lightning strikes and he lands? Not that I don't even think he has the power, but anything could happen. I mean, what if a headbutt lands and then a left hook lands and it puts Teofimo?
Luke Campbell did what he did. I told everybody.
Could you imagine?
You know what happened?
And you know what? Hey, Michael, AJ, if that happens, I'm gonna drop 120 pounds and I'm gonna go beat freaking his ass.
George Kambosos.
I think the thing about Kambosos is he's a very, very, very mediocre fighter who's been granted some amazing opportunities. He was handed a golden ticket when he beat Mickey Bay. He was handed another golden ticket when he fought Lee Selby and beat a guy who actually had a name out there within the UK and catapult him into this situation with Teofimo Lopez. The problem is they're going to make more out of this fight than what it really is.
Of course.
Like the Ryan Garcia fight against Luke Campbell, I knew going into that fight that Luke Campbell wasn't quite the fighter that everybody thought that he was, you know, based on his past performances. Yeah. Same situation with Kambosos. Don't expect miracles. Don't expect lightning. Expect a dramatic Teofimo knockout, and for his ego, get a little bit bigger and expect another mediocre opponent waiting at the door.
And we've been saying it for a month. It's a free trip to
what
Australia.
It is. There's some people that strive to be great. Okay, I look at a guy like Errol Spence, who to me is the epitome of what a champion should be right now. This is a man who came back from near death, fought a very dangerous man, defeated him.
Could have fought anybody.
And he's looking for bigger and better things. And then you got guys like Bud Crawford and Teofimo Lopez. But I'm just going to single on Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is a guy, it's not about people beating him or him beating them. It's who does he feel he could beat? His confidence seems like it's there, but really he doesn't have confidence in himself. No. Because if he did, he would go and end Lomachenko if he feels he can end Lomachenko. Here's a man who says, if I fight Lomachenko again, I'd knock him out in 2 rounds. Prove it. Don't talk. Just do it. Because you can't win fans with your mouth. You don't have the kind of resume that Floyd Mayweather has. So
no. You don't have the gift of gab. You talk with a lisp. You talk like some dude that should be in West Hollywood at the Norman Triangle hanging out at freaking at Rage on a Friday night somewhere. That's what he sounds like to me. So he ain't gonna win no hardcore boxing fans, and he hasn't.
Yeah,
he really hasn't. With aside of the myopic people that are maybe Latin American or South American that are going to support him because at the end of the day, that's what means more than anything is if you share the same lineage as him, you're going to support him no matter what. That's a sorry ass excuse to support a fighter. In my opinion, but it is what it is. That's boxing for you. It's divided upon cultural lines. It always has been. But if the guy really wants to be great, don't belittle Devin Haney. Don't belittle Ryan Garcia. Don't come on boxing scene this week and say that Devin Haney needs to up his smack talk. Last time I checked, smack talk doesn't lace up gloves and fight in a 20-by-20 ring.
Well, that's one of the things
he's basically saying that. Well, Devin Haney needs to up his smack talk game. Well, maybe Devin Haney just wants to go in there and fight. Fight the best.
I think that's one of the problems that we have in boxing right now is we got to get away from these fighters that come out here with this brash attitude like they've done so much.
Well, that segues into our final topic of tonight was these fighter antics.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the antics of some of these fighters and how the mouth and how the social media presence trumps fighting good fighters in your ability.
Yeah. I mean, Teofimo Lopez has shown time and time again. And I'm sorry, Eric, I'll get right to you. His lack of respect for the sport. What he did to Diego Maldonado, to me, honestly, should have constituted suspension immediately.
They should have fucking let Jesse go.
Yeah,
they should have let Jesse go.
Jesse, I'll be honest with you. I saw a thing the other day with Jesse Magdaleno, and I like Jesse.
I like Jesse too.
He was actually talking about the Campo. He said what a joke it was too. But Jesse said something at the end of the interview I thought was very interesting and really put a smile on my face. He said, "Hey, and don't think it's over between us. We may never see each other in the ring, but I'll catch him on the street."
Oh yeah.
You know,
bro, and let me tell you something, man. Just because fighters, okay, well, Jesse fights at 126, 130, and Teofimo, that don't mean shit. Because I saw Jesse Benavidez get in Caleb Plant's face, and I'm talking that's a full 140 pounder going up against a 168 pounder. I don't know if you saw the video of that. That's place in that gym in Vegas. So just don't for a second think that if he
I think Benavidez would have beat his ass, bro.
Well, I'm telling you, and I'm not condoning any of that behavior because at the end of the day, I don't condone that. The fighters should fight in the ring. But like I said, Jesse Magdaleno has no fear of Teofimo Lopez. And like I said, if he does catch him on the street, hey, I don't know, man. Hey, anything can happen, man.
Well, the problem is like you said, you're right. Is that you got these fighters out here that run their mouth. Now you got some of these guys that got 6 or 8 wins and they're already talking out and calling out people. And then you got fighters that haven't really beat anybody like Caleb Plant. He's another one. I wouldn't say he runs his mouth in a disrespectful way, but way too arrogant for what he's done and who he's faced. He's yet to face a quality guy or defend his title. You know,
when he won the title, he was quality. It was a quality fight. I mean, he was lucky. He had some.
Who did he fight against?
He had some tough moments in the rounds 9 through 11, and he for a moment there he looked like he was going to be on his way out, but he managed to rally and
Ukase, right?
Huh?
Against Jose Ugazi or whatever.
Uzcategui, yeah.
But you know, honestly, even him,
he's a tough guy, and not a skilled boxer, but just a tough guy.
Yeah, he reminds me of Sullivan Barrera, that type of fighter. You know what I'm saying? Just a guy who, you know, I mean, he wouldn't what I would consider
less skilled than Barrera. Barrera had some boxing skill. Uzcategui was just a tough guy, just a big guy for the division too. You know, just a physically big, strong guy. You know,
what weight was that at?
168.
168.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find it right now on my phone. So,
well, like I said, I mean, with boxing, like I said, I mean, we could kind of tune in from, you know, these brash fighters to the fighters who say they want to fight fighters, but then they don't prove it in the ring. And Caleb Plant is a perfect example. He just recently mentioned that he wanted a piece and that he wasn't impressed with
Canelo,
the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, Canelo Alvarez's performance in his victory over Callum Smith. To me, when you fought guys like Mike Lee and Butts, whatever his name is, you got no
room to talk, man.
Because you have had no conversations about even taking on Callum. I question if you could beat Callum Smith. Don't even talk about Canelo Alvarez.
Could you imagine if Canelo fought a guy like Mike Lee, the Planet Fitness spokesman or Subway spokesman or whatever he was? Nothing against the guy. The guy's probably a decent human being, and he's a smart guy. But the guy had no business getting a title shot. And Plant did what he needed to do. He embarrassed the guy, but you were supposed to. I don't think that guy would have made it out of the first minute of the first round with Canelo. I think Canelo would have hit him with a body shot, and the fight would have been over.
Well, you know, the thing is that I time and time again, and like I said, I know there's a lot of people that love Canelo and a lot of people that hate Canelo for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, this is a man who's out there giving the kind of fights that we want to see. And he really gets absolutely no respect from not only the boxing writers, but the boxing community itself. And at some point, you know, we're going to lose fighters like that. So then who do you embrace? A brash talking guy who fights nobody like a Teofimo Lopez or a Bud Crawford? When you have guys like Errol Spence, Canelo Alvarez, amongst others, who fight after fight, look at their resumes. Whether or not it's
the monster in a way,
another
fights everybody.
Okay?
Yeah,
I mean, take on that, Eric. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so as far as Canelo goes, guys, pound for pound, he's amazing. Okay, and absolutely,
he's 5'8" for God's sake. if even that. And he's fighting guys that are.
And I wouldn't get in the ring with a guy for nothing because you know what? I'd be out like half.
The guy goes up to light heavyweight. He's doing things that people haven't done since Roy Jones, and he doesn't get the credit.
No, he doesn't.
I don't want to hear about guys like Caleb Plant. I don't want to hear about even guys like Triple G, who I respect. But let's be honest, Triple G, I want to see that fight. But at this point of the game, I don't think it's going to be a big fight for Canelo. I think it's a victory for Canelo. Then it's going to be in devastating fashion. I don't think Triple G has evolved from the old Triple G when they fought those last two fights. Canelo, to me, has gotten better. He's fought better opposition. Opposition makes you better.
He's grown and he's grown and he's grown and he's grown. Absolutely. I mean, with that, okay, so I'm going to plug Enter the Ring. Canelo, if you are listening, you have.
Which he's not. I know Canelo's not. He's like, who think these guys?
you got three guys here that actually think you're the pound for pound. Period.
No, there's a lot of guys that aren't haters that feel he's pound for pound.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which to me proves. And I know we're kind of going in circles here, but you had mentioned Errol Spence earlier, which to me also proves that anybody that thinks Errol Spence is afraid of Terrence Bud Crawford, they really don't know what they're just completely blinded by their hate of Errol Spence in the PBC.
Yep.
It's a platform thing because Errol Spence, I do believe if Errol Spence was given the opportunity tomorrow, he would go to 160 and fight Canelo. I don't think he'd go to 168, but he would go to 160 and fight Canelo.
He would.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. And he'd probably lose that fight because Canelo is just physically as good as Errol Spence is and as dog as he is. Canelo's been there, done that, seen that. There's nothing you're going to throw at Canelo that he hasn't seen. Okay. Yeah. He's seen the plotting. He's beat the Sugar Shane Moses. He's beat the boxers like Aris Landy Lara. Right, Miguel Cotto, the guys that were boxer punchers, masterful boxer punchers with strength. I mean,
Canelo
Errol Spence would dare to be great. Now, do you think Bud Crawford would do the same thing?
No.
Hell no.
Well, the thing with Canelo is Canelo always seems to pick the fighter at the right time. You know, he goes after these guys. Obviously, that would be a huge fight if you got Errol Spence to step up against Canelo. I think Canelo beats Errol Spence based on the fact he's just, a better fighter.
But what a fight that would be, though.
That would be huge. That fight would be huge.
Oh, yeah. But I tell you right now, this is where
Arlington, Dallas Cowboy Stadium, 100. I mean, if the COVID pandemic is lifted, they would get 80,000 people, 90,000 people in that stadium.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, this is where Canelo could end a lot of the talk, and it's against a fighter that I don't even think is all that great. That is if Canelo gets one of the Charlo brothers and shows. Honestly, I think Canelo makes short work of them. You watch, based on their style, he makes short work of them. Based on what he's been in with, he makes short work, and he shocks, and people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, they're finally gonna wake up and realize." No,
AJ, what they'll say is the Charlos were never that good. They won't give Canelo they won't give Canelo the credit. They'll just say, well, you know what though, but the Charlos this, and one of them lost to Harrison, and the other one, blah, blah, blah. They'll find an excuse not to give Canelo the credit. A lot of people will give Canelo the credit, but a lot of people will not. I would say at least half, if not more, would say, "Oh, well, the Charlos were never all that. Look at their resumes. Who did they ever really fight?" I mean, it's like I don't know. It's like playing chess, Like if I go here, I could do that. If I go there, there's 75 different combinations for one move or outcomes if you make a move, and that's what would happen if Canelo.
Well, I think what really upsets me is as a boxing fan, and is when you see a fighter like Triple G in his victory. And don't get me wrong, he looks good, but against this Sarah Menza. Whatever the guy's name was, I'll never have to say his name again.
Yeah, you'll never have to say his name again. Yeah.
It was almost like the platform of the zone praised Triple G for his performance over this mediocre non-fighter that Canelo got for his victory over the guy who they said was number one at 168. It's like it's a no-win situation for Canelo every single time.
I think it could. I don't know, man. Maybe it could be. Maybe it could be because I don't know. Maybe because Canelo, with the negotiations and the falling out with Golden Boy, and then him demanding the certain amount of money that he wants per fight, maybe that rubbed them a little bit wrong. And they probably say, "Hey, Canelo, listen, we're in a pandemic. The revenue's just not there. We can't give you the guaranteed 35-minute fight like we promised you." And Canelo said, "Well, then fuck you. I'm going to do what I want to do." I mean, that's what I think ultimately might have happened. So maybe there's a little bit of salt in the wounds, and they're like, "Well, you know what? We're you know what I mean?"
But you got to be honest though. How many fighters other than Canelo are willing to do these things? He's willing to jump into the pit with anybody at any time. I can't put a whole lot of other fighters on that list. Not any other fighters in the middleweight division that I know of right now.
No.
Or 168, with exception to David Benavidez. And you go down a little bit lower, in the welterweights, Errol Spence, he's about the only one, and that's it.
And that's why. Remember what we said a few weeks ago, if not months ago, when we talked about our pound for pound. It's who you've beaten, it's what you are, what you aspire to be, and what you're doing. That's what we said. It's not just who you've beaten. It's who you're presently fighting and who you're aspiring to fight. I mean, we don't know what's next for Canelo. Maybe he stays at 168. Maybe he fights. Caleb Plant gets through Caleb Truex. Maybe they set that fight up. He makes short work of Caleb Plant. I mean, Caleb Plant might last 3-4 rounds because he does have the length and he does know how to fight tall and move or whatever. But if Canelo goes and beats him, no matter what you feel about Caleb Plant, he is a champion. I mean, there's no real blemishes on his record. He's won that title legitimately. I mean, he's got the backing of the PBC. I mean, his wife Jordan is, the commentator. So I mean, he's very well taken care of. Okay, as it pertains to PBC fighters, right? So, but what can you say at that point? What can you say about Canelo? There's nothing you can say. Don't even utter his name. As far as I'm concerned, if he does that, you could give him spots 1, 2, and 3 in the pound for pound list, and then number 4 you could put whether you want to put the Monster or Usyk or whoever you want to put. That's just how I feel. I'm not saying that would happen, but at this point he's kind of untouchable. He really has become the pound for pound emeritus. Like there's the pound for pound emeritus, and then there's the one number 1 through 10. Because what else does the guy have to do? Go fight fucking Tyson Fury at 200.
And at that point, it's starting to look like that, because I'll tell you something right now. As it is right now, it doesn't really matter what Canelo does. It seems like they're always going to throw these blemishes at him and stuff.
And you know why I think they do it, bro? Honestly, you know why I think they do it? And they're going to fail every time. Yeah. They're trying to get his GOAT. They're trying to get him to react, and he refuses.
Yeah.
He refuses.
The guy
because he's smarter than them.
He's smarter than them.
He's smarter than them. He's not gonna
Well, not take the bait.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
He doesn't let anything. The only person he's not gonna let anybody get in his skin. The last person I know who got under Canelo's skin was Abel Sanchez in the second fight against Gennady, when he questioned him being a Mexican. But other than that, let's be honest. Canelo Alvarez doing what he's doing right now in the ring. It's not being done by anybody else. And the point is, it's gonna get to a point where Canelo is either gonna continue in boxing and try to find other outlets in which other fighters, big marquee matchups, possibly a matchup against Munguia. That would be a huge Cinco de Mayo one. 2 most popular fighters in Mexico. People would say whatever they want to say about Munguia, but it's a dangerous fight for Canelo based on Munguia's youth and his size. Canelo's a gym rat, though. This is a guy who works at his craft. When I look at other fighters, I don't see that evolution. Every time I see Canelo, I hate to say it, he gets a little better.
Well, I think look at the guys he's fighting.
Yeah.
He just fought a guy that he was 7 inches shorter than, and he had like an 8-inch reach disadvantage against, and he was able to out jab the guy.
I know.
So you're right. He really is working on getting better. And all credit to him. And, I'll give credit to the Reynosos as well. But at the end of the day, Canelo's is the one that's got to execute it in the ring. Yep. I've never been one to give overly praise a trainer. I think Canelo was just a born fighter, man. I think it stems from his childhood, from him being the redheaded Mexican, where he was picked on and ostracized because they thought, well, who's this kid, whatever, this little Irishman or whatever. And I think it really just, and like I said, I haven't always rooted for Canelo. I mean, I rooted for him against Floyd. Oh, yeah. But there were fights where I actually went against him, and I was pulling for the other guy. But I give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best fights I've seen, and if you go back and watch the fight again, it happened several years ago, and this was a fight where I didn't really root for either fighter because I didn't really care for Miguel Cotto and I didn't really care for Canelo. But I just watched 2 pound for pound masters of boxing go in there and go 12 rounds. And when that fight ended, they put their arms around each other, and that was a masterful fight of 2 top tier fighters. And at that point, that's what really told me this guy's the real deal. Yeah, I was in San Diego at the Gas Lamp. I watched it there. He's the real deal.
That's exactly what boxing needs right now.
They need that.
You're right, bro.
Exactly what boxing needs. I mean, granted, this whole podcast today is about what boxing needs to change, but what boxing needs today is those type of battles.
Can they take a little bit of Canelo's blood and just inject a little bit in all the guys at the top? Say, hey, come on, guy.
You got to do something, because I don't see I don't see anything at the end of the rainbow in the sense where these fighters right now, Mike, what you were talking about, the welterweight division, it's a traffic jam. And what I mean by traffic jam, it's not a traffic jam where everybody's going to get a shot. It's a traffic jam where everybody's just going to wait. They're just going to wait.
Let's put it this way, bro. There's so many guys right now deserving of a title shot at 147. Yeah. Sean Porter deserves another shot. I mean, granted, because he's lost close fights. Okay. Ugas deserves a shot. He's considered the WBA interim champion. He deserves a shot, a legitimate shot at the title. Jamal James has done nothing but win for the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Deserves a shot. I mean, even guys like
Keith Thurman, I hate to say it, even though his one loss to Manny Pacquiao doesn't put him out.
Keith Thurman, Virgil Ortiz. Now the welterweight division is the division where, hey, that's the only division where I can honestly say, well, maybe 4 belts isn't enough, because there's some legitimate champions caliber fighters at 147 without a belt. The best fighters.
And then you got to look at the influx of fighters that are going to probably be coming in with the next couple of years. You can have guys like
Josh Taylor,
Chon Zapata,
Ramirez. I don't know if Chon will go to 147. I think he's still comfortable making 140, but if he does, I mean, for those of you that don't know, he gave Floyd fits in sparring. He prepared Floyd for Manny Pacquiao. He was one of his main sparring partners back in 2015, and he gave Floyd fits.
Oh yeah.
I mean fits. I mean, I that's as far as I'll go with that. So here's a guy that can compete at 147. There's no doubt about
absolutely. I'm just saying that the possibilities there for all these guys. Eric, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Go ahead.
Sorry, man.
We're actually at the 116 mark, so we're going to be ended up right now. But before we go, there's no real big fights coming. I know we touched a little bit on Caleb Plant's. Why don't we go ahead and just talk briefly, and then we'll close out with that, Mike. Caleb Plant is upcoming bout against Truex.
Well, I think what we were talking about earlier is that's the next biggest fight on the horizon. I mean, you know, granted, we had a great finish to 2020, and then, you know, we had the first big fight of 2021 was the Garcia fight. A little bit of a letdown, in my opinion. Well, the next big fight coming up is Plant versus Caleb Truex. It's a PBC fight. I mean, I think we all know that that's just a showcase fight for Caleb Plant. Depending on how he looks against Caleb Truex, and, you know, if he's dominating or whatever, I mean, then maybe they'll start making the negotiations for the Canelo fight if he really is serious about fighting Canelo. And at that point, I mean, Caleb Plant's not a kind of guy that needs to fight for another 4 or 5 years. I mean, he's had a respectable career. I mean, he's getting paid well. He'll make cash out money against Canelo, no doubt about it, because Al Heyman's going to take care of him. You know what I mean? Yeah. The chance to unify the 168-pound title.
I'll tell you what's dumbfounding to me is, how did Truex, now, was Truex the mandatory or was he a voluntary?
I don't even know.
Because here's a problem I got with it and stuff. If you really look back at it, Truex doesn't really have a victory over a marquee guy. And his last big fight was against James DeGale back in 2018 when he lost. I mean, even his fight
against Peter Quillen ended with the headbutt.
2 rounds, yeah. So how he gets thrusted into the situation, and then we're going to question guys like David Benavidez and his victories over Durrell, amongst others. I'll tell you right now, boxing needs to wake up and get some people with some brains. Fans, it starts with you. It's real simple. If you've got a fighter that refuses to fight the number 1 guy, he's not a fucking champion. If you've got a guy that's going to price himself out, he doesn't want to fight the fighter. End of story.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
You know,
heartbeat.
It's real simple. It's real simple.
Yeah.
You know, when you're challenged by a fighter and the fighter's deserving, go back and watch Rocky 3. Clubber Lang was in the gym kicking ass, number 1 contender. Rocky retires. He called out Rocky, even his retirement, to let him know that you're running from me. And in reality, Rocky was, not him. His trainer was running from him because he knew it was the real legitimate thing.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in boxing every day. Ending your career with a glossy record will only put you in Floyd's situation. Go have fun fighting YouTubers and kickboxers in Japan, because that's your future.
Yeah, exactly. But if you really want to make a mark in this world, some of the best, not even some, all of the best fighters in the world that
want to make memories, man, memories. Those
all
battles.
All of them had losses. Muhammad
you know
Ali,
what?
Sugar Ray Leonard, Duran,
Goldstein.
Hagler.
This is not a Mickey Goldstein world.
No,
okay. It's not. You have to fight the best of the best, or you're just worthless as far as
but we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it, Rod. We don't need it.
I had a conversation one time with Bobby Chacon, but schoolboy Bobby Chacon back at StubHub one time, and Bobby was telling me about he treasured his victories as much as he treasured his epic battle losses.
Yeah,
because they were fights of the ages. The fights against Bazooka, against Cornelius
Bazooka Lemon.
Bazooka Lemon. I mean, you know, you name it, Mondo Ram, all of them. These were epic battles.
Bro.
These were blood and guts type of fights that we haven't seen in a long time.
Look at the fight that just got unanimously. It was on every publication was fight of the year, right? Chon Cepeda and Baranchik, right? You think people are going to remember Baranchik for that loss?
No.
They're going to remember that, dude, that was the best goddamn fight I saw in a decade. That was, I don't even know what your guys' records were. I don't give a shit what your records are because I don't think either guy was undefeated. Baranchik had 1 loss and Chon had 2 losses, right?
Yep.
Chon had lost to Flanagan, nonsense against Ramirez. Does anybody care that there wasn't an O affixed to their record? No, they said that was the fight, that memories, and that will go down in history. Johnny Molina, our good friend Johnny Molina, fight of the year, 2015 against Lucas Matisse right here at StubHub. People don't care that Johnny at that point had 5 or 6 losses on his career. They don't care. All they know is that
what a fucking fight, man.
All they know is Johnny had him.
I just watched it again lately, and you know what? What a freaking fight.
Johnny,
what did Johnny not give us a fight? Come on, Mickey Bay, you name it, man. I mean, you know,
I saw the Mickey Bay fight here. Okay, so I've been going back here lately because I'm trying to catch up with you guys. You know, you guys are just freaking amazing. But I've been catching up on certain fights, and that Mickey Bay fight was just amazing. Johnny,
I still got to get Johnny on, Mike. We got to ask that question, bro. I want to know, what did John Molina say to Floyd Mayweather? I know he said something, dude.
We're gonna get him on. I actually got a text message from him yesterday. He worked yesterday. He didn't get off till late. But if Johnny, if you watch this now, or if you watch this on a repeat, because he might be working tonight. Whose house?
No,
Johnny's a big Rams fan, man. Him and his father or his family, big Rams fan, and Rams pulled it. I'm not an NFL fan really anymore, but they pulled it out. And I've already told my sister-in-law. I said, listen. If the Rams make it to the Super Bowl, because I don't even know what's going on with the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to get tickets this year. But man, if you know, especially with everything that's going on with Johnny on his personal life that we know about that we won't say. I mean, he's had some tough times lately. He's doing well on a personal level, but man, it wouldn't be great for the Rams to make the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you,
and win it. You know, they got quarterback issues right now
about the Rams right now. So good job, and Johnny. You know where our prayers are with you.
Go Rams! Hey, they got that quarterback, that kid who got hurt yesterday. That kid's from he was playing for the Arizona Hotshots in the Alliance League.
Oh, really?
That kid's good, man.
I'll tell you the thing about Johnny, man. The thing I love about Johnny was, you know, he was exactly what he said his marquee was, the gladiator. Johnny went into each fight knowing there was a chance he was going to lose, but goddamn, if he was going to lose, he was going to go down swinging. And that's something that we're really missing in boxing. When Johnny left boxing, you know, we really lost something more than just a tough opponent. We lost a guy that created masterpieces. Maybe not fundamentally, in some people's eyes, the best, but wars, epic wars that we haven't seen. And hopefully we're going to get more of these later on. I mean, it starts with Chon Cepeda. He's another guy getting up from those knockdowns and doing what he did to Baranchik. That's a step a positive step in the right direction. We need to see more of that. What just happened with Errol Spence, even though it was a dominating win for Errol Spence, it had its moments where it was starting to really heat up. So let's hope.
I actually went back and watched that fight again. Yeah. And I will say, you know what the round that stuck out to me was the 12th round.
Yeah, Danny came out, man.
Danny came on, man.
Okay, he got that chip, came on. I told you, Danny got that chip. He probably woke up, but he woke up too late.
He bit down on his gum shield, man, and he just was letting his hands go to that final bell. And you know what? I mean, he knew he came up short, but I mean, for anybody that out there that questions his heart, because they like to say, well, Danny always comes up short. Hey, he bit down on his gum shield, and he had, in my opinion, one of the best pound for pound fighters in the top. I think we placed him up in the top 2 or 3 now, 3 or 4 now. Fighters in the world in front of him, who's just an absolute dog, and he bit down and just really.
I look at it.
He fought the full fight like he fought the last half of that 12th round, man. And we might be talking about a whole nother.
I have more respect for Danny Garcia and his losses than I have and Bud Crawford and his wins. The fact that Danny Garcia fights the fighters that Bud Crawford should be fighting. So let's be honest, okay? Bud Crawford has no intention of fighting Sean Porter, who was a Danny Garcia loss. He'll never fight against Keith Thurman, who was a Danny Garcia loss. And let's be honest, he bid himself out of an Errol Spence fight a long time ago. I think, honestly, Errol Spence is kind of talking about Bud Crawford. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, but I will tell you this, if it does happen.
Bro.
I'm putting the house and the farm up.
What did I say 2-3 months ago? They're gonna make Bud grovel.
Oh, yeah.
they're going to give him 30%, and then they're going to kick his ass and go, okay, you can go back to Top Rank now. Or you can go with the Golden Boy, or I don't know. You can go sign with whoever. I don't know.
Before we
sign off, that's what I feel is going to happen.
Yeah. Before we sign off, there's always something that I always think about. What's going through the mind of a fighter?
Yeah.
So let's look at a guy like Bud Crawford, who's starting to get a little bit up there in age. You know what I'm saying? With what
is he? 33 now?
33. He's going to be 34 this year. But here's the point: is when he looks back on his career and the possible opportunities, and he sees these classics, these old ESPN classics, these wars, you know. And he's going to think to himself, you know what? I never got to experience that. He's his own worst enemy.
He'll never go down. He'll never make a, fight of the year. He hasn't been in a fight of the year.
Well, the point is, just because
I look at it this way,
Hall of Fame based on your name doesn't make you a deserving fighter to be in the same place with some of the great fighters that are already.
Look at it this way. Okay, guys, look at it this way. 10 years from now, 15 years from now,
nobody remember.
Anybody going to say anything about Crawford?
Nope.
Not a goddamn
wasted opportunities. What should have, could have happened?
I mean, the fact of the matter is, yeah, he might be okay.
No, he's a good fighter. I mean, he's better than okay, but he's not the elite of the division.
Exactly.
I always go back to Riddick Bowe and his mistakes that he made when he never made that Lennox Lewis fight happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fight that could have really defined Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe didn't want the fight. Lennox Lewis wanted the fight. Never happened. Okay. Lennox Lewis went on to greatness. Riddick Bowe went into obscurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
That's what happens, man.
Yeah. Very, very true. Very true.
Everybody's got to wake up. So
10, 15 years from now, nobody's really talking about Crawford. Period.
No, they're not. They're really not. I mean, sadly, they're not, because there's a lot of great fighters over the years, AJ, that we could talk about. Stylistically, we're very, very skilled. But when you say their names, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, he was the champion, right? Yeah. I mean, but he, it wasn't. I mean, they still talk about Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, guys with multiple damn near double-digit losses on their records.
It's the thing. It's the difference between an Arturo Gatti and a Weekie Wright. Arturo Gatti came to fight. Weekie Wright did enough just to win and be as boring as possible.
Exactly.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But,
exactly.
That's boxing. And
in closing, hey, maybe boxing will, maybe through osmosis, maybe boxing will kind of understand that, hey, you know what? We just came through a challenging year in 2020. And at the end of the day, we look at our profit and loss statement. We can go, okay, well, we did okay on certain things, but overall, we kind of still bit the bullet. Let's make this change in 2021, because it's young. The year. I mean, we just let's make it better.
Happen. I mean, like
we want our sport to survive. We have to put the best matchups out there. Enough with the overbidding and the 17 different champions and one weight division. We just got to get back to basics, man. Back to basics, man.
Real quick. All you promoters out there, Top Rank, PBC, Golden Boy, all of you. Okay?
Thompson Boxing, Ed Holmes All-Star.
All of them. Okay.
De La Hoya.
Pay attention to what the actual boxing person, the boxing fan, the boxing enthusiast like my brothers and myself are saying. Because if you want to increase and make this thing better than what it actually is, you will listen. You will listen to what the true people are saying to you.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, think of it as a digital comment card that you put. You know what I mean? Come on, man. What do you want to see in boxing?
I look at it this way:
better fight. I want so and so to fight so and so. I'm tired of all these goddamn belts.
What happened to boxers with balls? What happened to the fighters that were fearless? I'll tell you something right now. We only got a handful of them still left in the sport right now. Who's going to be the next one to make me eat my words? Who's going to be the next fighter to come out and take that unobtainable challenge? We'll see. Because I can tell you right now, I can list about 10 champions right now that I know will never touch that realm. And I can tell you right now, but above where there's a champion unwilling, there's a contender that's building, and it's going to come. So that's what it is, man.
Yep.
So, amen. Absolutely.
Well, I just got an update from my buddy Dan. You guys know Dan. Dude, the Steelers are getting stomped right now. The second quarter just started, and they're down 28-0. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. I'm not taking any satisfaction. I thought Steelers were going to win this one easy. Good God.
Are they in the playoffs right now?
It's the playoffs right now. The Steelers are hosting the Browns, and the Browns are beating them 28-0. It's only the second quarter just started.
How do you lose a shit turd, man? Jesus Christ.
Well, the Browns have gotten better over this last year, but
I told you, man. I took my stand, man, against the NFL. I'm a college guy. I'm all about college football. 5
well,
years.
tomorrow.
5 years of running, man.
Okay. Let's end it on this. Okay, we've been going an hour and 13 now. Okay, let's end it on this. Tomorrow, what do you guys like in the national title game?
Who do you like?
Alabama. I like Alabama. I mean, I don't like Alabama, but I think Alabama's going to put it on them.
Oh, of course, yeah, Alabama's going to put it on them and stuff. You know, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's Nick Saban's world. it's his.
What do you think, Eric? Going to watch that game?
Yeah, I'll watch it. And yeah, you're right. I think Alabama's going to take it. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. Alabama's proven in the past. You know, they trip up. It's always that national championship game that gets them. You know, Clemson bit them a few years ago.
Here's what needs to happen. Alabama needs to win that game. You know why? Because it would be unfair for a team that's only played 7 games to be the national champion over a team that's already played 12.
Yeah.
Ohio State only played 6 regular season games.
I know.
It was due to COVID and all this other nonsense, and they
use it as an excuse, like I said.
Yeah. So Bama's played the full 11, 12 games season. They cannot lose this game. Because there's going to be a big old asterisk next to that. I mean, this would be the asterisk year. The Lakers won the title with playing half the season, the Dodgers half the season, and then if Ohio State wins playing half the season, that's just not fair.
I can't remember, but I heard something about a Division 2 or Division 3 team that ended up doing much better than they should have. And I don't know if they won the championship or not, but they had a lot of transfers that came from Division 1 schools because a lot of guys left schools that weren't doing anything with their programs.
It's probably true. Probably true.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, these guys stacked their team, you know, with like, maybe it was like Florida, and maybe it was like some, you know, Florida A&E or some shit, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Good.
You know what? Cool, man.
I say good. You know what? Let the people frickin' play. This is all I'm sorry. I'm going back political. I'm tired of this.
Yeah,
I'm tired of this.
Yeah,
with the hula lady dancing.
Well, we'll look at it like this. So Trevor Lawrence was a big proponent of. He was one of the guys that was outspoken out there at the forefront, saying, "Let us play, let us play." Yeah. Clemson ended up playing their entire season. Yeah, they came up short in that game. But did anybody die on Clemson? Did anybody get sick and die? No, these are all young, strong, healthy football players. Okay, and the assistants around them, right? These are people, and they got through a season. So there's no reason why the SC, UCLA, the Pac-12, the WAC couldn't have played a full season as well. That's just how I feel.
I think
if you're afraid. Give me a second. If you're afraid of being sick, stay the hell home.
Yeah, stay home, man.
You know what? Stay home. You know what? There's enough
delivery services,
whatever the case may be, to protect you. Okay. But as far as the people that want to work, the people that want to go on with sports, the people that want to actually make a living,
normalcy.
Let us work. The people that are not sick, let us work. This is crazy.
You know, I feel bad for them, man. I feel bad for all these kids that were seniors this year.
My daughter.
Well, programs like Bishop Almont, Mater Dei, St. John Bosco, Corona Centennial. I mean, great school, Long Beach Poly. These kids couldn't even play their last season as seniors.
You know how I feel about Amont, man. My daughter, I'm so proud of her. You know, she's going to be graduating from Amont and stuff like this, but it sucks because this was our year. I always worked the dog pound with the football team. It just really took a huge chunk out of me too. Her doing what she did, I lived a little bit vicariously through her and stuff, but it's sad, man. I mean, we all just want a little bit of normalcy back in our lives. If you don't, like my brother, absolutely agree with him. If you're afraid to get sick, stay home. If you don't like people like me, build yourself a little room in the back and lock yourself in there like a dog. Keeps me inside there, man. You know.
All right, let's go ahead and end this, man. For End of the Ring Live for Sunday.
We're back Tuesday.
We'll be back Tuesday, 5:00. I mean, we'll see what transpires from now to then. So we have some more subject matter. Obviously, it's a kind of a slow time of year right now for boxing, first of the year. But hopefully, the next big fight coming up is the Plant Truex fight. Maybe something else will get announced by then. Adrian Broner did announce an upcoming fight. So
I like it, man. I like it.
Maybe we'll dip into that. We'll dip into that a little bit. With a little bit more about his opponent.
Maybe we can get Johnny on to talk about it. Johnny fought against Adrian Broner.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. I'll reach out to Johnny and see if he wants to join us. So
sounds great.
But anyways, man, for everybody, have a great evening for End of the Ring Live. This was Mighty Mike,
AJ Rage,
and Eric Mendiola. God bless.
We'll see you guys on Tuesday, 5:00 on the West Coast, 8:00 East Coast.